I mean, what's come out about Target? What's come out about Walgreens? What's come out about Pfizer? When we start hearing these big companies have these recalls or have these problems or have these major incidences or have these malpractice suits, I think we come to realize that nobody really cares about our health like we do, and they're caring more about a dollar or about their business or about their bottom line. Today we're going to discuss a Walgreens recall that affects no telling how many people. I mean, they said a few thousand, but I believe it's going to be more than that once it all comes out. We're going to talk about Target. How much baby food have you fed your infant or toddler from Target, thinking it's a better quality than some other grocer? What about Pfizer? Think about the lawsuits that have been rendered against Pfizer. We should call them a mob or a syndicate for the amount of lawsuits against them because of their practices. Now remember, all three of these businesses have one thing in common. FDA or USDA gave them approval. The government gave them approval on whatever it may be. The question then comes, is our government and our businesses working against its people? We're going to discuss all that today. Also, we're going to talk about Henry Kissinger and the Agenda 2030. We think it's not happening. I told you the other day about DHS and their push for the Real ID, Digital ID, Apple ID. Wait till you hear this new program that Trump and his administration's worked on to develop. And it's got ties to Larry Ellison, it's got ties to Elon Musk, but it also has ties to the things that we've pushed against and voted against. Wait till you hear this and see some of the things I want to show you. And then lastly, the biggest beef provider that provides all your meat, the biggest one in the world, the biggest one in America. There's only 4, but the biggest. Not only is the biggest beef provider, it's now the biggest owner of beef substitute and fake meat and 3D printed meat and lab grown meat. They are now going to take away your beef because you can't say anything about it. If they take 50, 60, 70% of the market and then all of a sudden beef costs $100 a pound, then this alternative of this fake meat is perfect for you. We own it too. Let's dive into all these stories today. Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Thank you so very much for being here today. What a video today. I'm telling you, please stay tuned to all of it. It'll blow your mind at some of the stories that we're going to talk about today. So first, let's talk about the situation with these recalls, these problems. And then again, let's focus on who. It's amazing how I can't sell my milk or my eggs or these onions or these tomatoes or these peaches or these eggs or, this lard. We can't sell any of that without some kind of, approval from the government. However, let's go through what has been approved by the government, and all of a sudden now, it's not good. 41,000 bottles of Walgreens nasal spray has been recalled over bacterial contamination concerns. FDA just released it. Now, FDA would approve this at first because that's what hit the shelves. So 41,000 bottles of nasal spray going into your brain and your area that where your brain, your cognitive ability is now getting covered with bacteria. Now, that can't be good. I don't think there's anything about that saying, well, that's okay. It's just in your sinuses. It's in your blood. It's in your, the area next to your skull and your nasal cavity in your brain. Is that not nuts? 41,000 bottles of Walgreens nasal spray has been recalled for bacterial contamination. Please check that out. Now, let's keep on going because we have some more that is unbelievable. Urgent. This is from the Children's Health Defense. PFAs have been found in Target's baby food once again. Now, the same PFAs that just got approved by EPA and by HHS to spray on our broccoli and salads, which is damaging to us, very bad for us. It's going to cause problems for our ground with forever chemicals. Now, guess what? There has been 29 toxic pesticides found in baby food from Target. We found 5 pesticides that were PFAs, or forever chemicals, including PFA pesticides that were actually banned in the U.S. They were actually banned and still found in baby food. 16 more pesticides were found as classified as highly hazardous to human health or the environment. 10 pesticides are banned in European unions, along with link to cancer and hormone disruption with neurotoxicity. So we have 10 pesticides that deal with cancerous hormone disruption in children and brain development. We have, and they are banned in all the countries but America. Then we found 16 more that's actually banned everywhere because of human health concerns and the environment concerns. And 5 that are actually banned in the United States that should not even be around our food. And of that, that makes up 29 different toxic pesticides that are literally in baby food found in Target. But this is the same baby food that somehow got a pass by the government. I cannot sell you these eggs or this lard that I've rendered off one hog at this cool room that I'm sitting by. But the government can give you an FDA pass or USDA pass. And now we have nasal cavity spray that is causing problems. We have baby food that's got 29 toxic pesticides in them. Again, I go back to the Food and Drug Administration. So now we have kids that are going to be wrapped up in some kind of sickness that will need medication for the rest of their life. I want you to listen to Pfizer. Pfizer, again, one of the biggest, we would say, curable pharmaceuticals. That's not it. They're symptom-fixing pharmaceuticals, because what they do is they don't want to ever cure you. If you get cured, what do you need them for anymore, huh? Think about that. People make billions off your health care to not cure you. It's meant to just treat you for the next thing. Listen. Pfizer should be considered a criminal enterprise, is what Nicholas Holscher shares. It says 107 criminal penalties have been brought against them. 107 since 2000. That's 25 years. It's 107 criminal penalties. There's no other business that's made it, that can make it, that can pay these fines and stay in business. $11 billion in fines. So 107 criminal penalties in 25 years. $11 billion in fines. Convictions span false advertising, broad kickback schemes, bribery, and safety violations. Fraudulently manipulated through 2019 was a big one. Now they said when that data comes out, and truly comes out, and they said they're not going to release a lot of this data till 2030. It's weird, huh? It's amazing how we know this is bad for us. We already got some people leaking it, but they're not going to release their findings until 2030. This is pre-2020, basically. Of these 25 years, this has nothing to do with CV-19. So we already know this damage, and there's going to be more problems with that. But the government gave them a pass, remember? You remember that? The government gave them a liability pass. $11 billion in fines, 107 criminal penalties. They've been caught in schemes, bribery, safety violations, and fraud kickbacks to people voting on this legislation. However, none of this ties to the CV-19 that's probably going to come out later on. Let's go back to what I said at the very first. What do these 3 things have in common? A grocer, a baby food provider that's a grocer also, and then now Pfizer, the best, biggest pharmaceutical, the biggest pharma brand that's supposed to cure you, but it doesn't. It just, treats your symptoms. All this stuff was approved by the government. All this stuff was approved for ingestion or to take in some form or fashion. All this was approved for our children. What are we doing? So our problem may not be Target or Walgreens or Pfizer, which, they have problems for sure. Our problem may be the fact that our government is so tainted that they've been getting all these kickbacks from these firms that are so big that they just kind of turn their blind eye to it and let this stuff go, and all of a sudden it gets so big that they can't hide it anymore. You tell me how FDA now all of a sudden finds 29,000 bacterial and contaminated nasal sprays, finds that 29 pesticides that are banned all over the world are in our baby food, and we hear Pfizer somehow just seems to make it. Seems like the government just keeps subsidizing them, even though they get caught up in fines and billions of dollars worth of schemes. The problem is it may be government. We shouldn't want deregulating more chemicals. We should want people being able to sell wholesome food once again. This leads me to the next story with JBS. JBS is the biggest holder of meat, meaning JBS is a Brazilian-based company. They have some Asian ties too, but they own the biggest significant part of our beef in America. Unbelievable that we can't handle our own beef, and our ranchers can't just have our own beef. You can't buy from me, you have to buy from these big providers. JBS, which is the biggest owner of your beef in America, that's actually caused the price to go up astronomical, now has become the biggest lab meat provider. JBS now takes over not only the biggest beef provider, not only the biggest hand in groceries, but now it's going to be in the biggest in biotech engineering of food. Having built a 4,000 ton factory of lab-grown meat in Spain that will go along with Brazil that will be pushed here in America. So if beef keeps going up, which it is, I mean, you can't pay $25, $30 a steak. I mean, that's crazy. I'm talking about for a raw steak, and then, so by the time you feed your family, that's $100 just in raw steak. That's unbelievable. That's astronomical. People can't afford it. So what they're going to say is, well, you peasants, you can't afford the real beef. We're going to make you have this lab-grown meat. It's just the same. There's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's carcinogenic, made of cancer cells. You know, it has a lot of chemicals in it. It's not made up of real proteins. But you eat it, you peasants, so we can keep you with our thumb on you. That's exactly what we're seeing. So the biggest meat provider in America, now we've allowed to be the biggest lab-grown provider. Now we've allowed for them to not be an American company. And now we've allowed for them to sell to the populations because we've allowed for the beef to be destroyed in America. See, whose fault is this? Government. Can we just admit to that? Why is the price of everything going up? Well, because governments allow for big business to buy in, but not only that, they've allowed for inflation to go crazy because they keep spending our money. They keep allowing for things to happen. Look, I'm a Republican, staunch conservative, but guess who messed up the beef industry more than anybody? Go back to Ronald Reagan. He actually messed up a lot of the beef and the beef jobbers. The big cattle farms, the CAFOs, that was really Ronald Reagan that kind of hurt the beef industry more than anyone. And then it, of course, got worse through the Democrats in the 90s and 2000s. But bottom line is, our government has just destroyed every aspect of our life. You know what makes these onions or this pepper or these pears or these plum jellies or this lard or these eggs that people always talk about? These are water-glassed eggs, by the way. My wife has a video on it. But, you know, we have sweet potatoes, greens, pickles, meat. We have canned meat. We have canned chicken. We have freezers full of all this meat over here. You know what makes this dangerous and just so dangerous to the government? Is that I didn't need them for that. Do you hear what I'm saying? Listen to me closely. In every aspect that we talked about so far, with the food, with the beef, with the stuff going in your arm, along with the nasal sprays, the medicines, all that stuff, it needed government in it. And all of a sudden we realized they failed you in it. Well, I didn't need government for any of this. See, independence scares the crap out of the government, especially this government. Now, our founders and our forefathers would have said, yes, this is what we want, independence. Well, no, we don't want that anymore because we want power over you. We want the thumb on you. And that's what you're seeing with all these stories. This may be the scariest one yet. Listen to this. This is Henry Kissinger. I want you to listen to what Henry Kissinger said. It says, this was actually shared by someone on Twitter. It says, Henry Kissinger's last book was titled Genesis, in which he advocated for the use of AI systems to reshape humanity. Now remember, Henry Kissinger was the one who set up a lot of the petrodollar, the global economic structure of where we're at. He's also the mentor of Klaus Schwab, who was the WEF, which started Agenda 2030. Okay, so we kind of know who he is. Very dangerous man, worked for Republicans and Democrats, but ultimately was a very shady character through CIA, so forth. You can go and do research on him. Trump's latest EO, which is executive order, mirrors Kissinger's vision. Trump was elected for the purpose to usher in what? Well, we thought freedom. But listen to this, especially if you're a Christian, especially if you're someone who thinks prophetically or end times. We have now seen the launch of an AIB system. Now listen to this. This came out, it says, the White House has launched a program called Genesis Mission. This is almost like, listen to this name. It's almost like the Manhattan Project for AI. Now I want you to go do some research on the Manhattan Project. Look how scary and creepy that is. The Department of Energy will build a national AI platform on top of U.S. supercomputers and federal science data to train scientific foundation models to run AI agents in robotics lab to automate every aspect of our life. It says the Genesis mission has arrived, the world's most powerful scientific platform that's going to be, and this is a quote from the Department of Energy, a Manhattan Project level leap that will fundamentally transform the future of America. I don't know about you, but if you look at the symbol, it kind of has a 666 kind of theme to it. Very dystopian. Brings in Kissinger and Manhattan Project. It's crazy. Are we seeing what we thought was going to be better for us actually come back to be worse for us? Now I want to go back to some quotes, because we're going to wrap this video up with quotes about what we just talked about. The dangers of AI, the dangers of this new system, the dangers of all the things with FDA and USDA, the dangers of our beef. And you don't believe we don't have bad players behind us. Let's just go through some of this. Bill Gates. Cows make 6% of global emissions. You either fix the cows or you make the beef without the cow. We don't need the cow anymore. We can redesign it and make the cow ourselves. Sounds a little dystopian, huh? But all of a sudden JBS is now doing that. Let's go to some other quotes. This is from the Bilderberg. If you've read about the Bilderberg, this is from Jacques Attali. This is actually shared in 1981. Shows, this is like Kissinger. When you hear about all this stuff, it's actually coming to fruition now that was planned 50, 60 years ago. Listen to this quote from Jacques Attali, which was a Bilderberger, part of the Bilderberg group, which is kind of another very dangerous group. The future will be about finding a way to reduce the population. We get rid of them by making and believing that they're doing this for their own good. Listen to that. This is his exact quote. It could be a virus, a pandemic. These stupid will believe it and ask to be treated for the solution. And they will look to us for the solution. That was shared back in 1981. UN comes out and says that we're going to start targeting homeschooling because we want them to have the same teaching all over instead of having the teaching of what their parents see. Basically, they're saying the government knows best. Well, does the government know best after all the stuff that we talked about today? No, but it's control. Listen to this. U.S. President Donald Trump has signed an executive order to call it Genesis Mission, which will be a nationwide AI industry effort to change the world and America for good. And the guy said, well, actually what we're seeing is digital ID, social credit scores, digital borders, technocracy, pre-crime, which we talked about with Minority Report, and it's actually going to happen. It's going to help you. If they see somebody that's doing something, it's going to be able to quote-unquote bust them before they actually do it. AI is going to think for you. Internet, be more on the internet. Talk about transhumanism and how we can use AI into ourselves, which is already happening, and ultimately depopulation. Guys, please quit looking for the government to fix everything and the people that have a God complex to fix everything. Quit looking for people to be the saviors of the world. There's only one Savior, it's God. It's through Jesus. But He also gives us wisdom and common sense to think for ourselves, to say, I may not need to take this. I may not need to inject this. I may not need to eat this. I may not need to trust this. I may not need to believe that government has all the right answers, because all these stories that I just shared, every one of them had government approvals or stamps of approval from the industries. But they're telling you this is bad. And they're telling you you're not capable of doing it yourself. You can't homeschool your children. You can't grow your own food. Are you crazy? We may just be. We may just be crazy. And it may be a time that you better start learning how to be independent once more. Because I don't know how we survive this. I don't even know how we can run away from this AI. I don't know how to think past that. Now, Trump came out yesterday and said that he believes the nation's falling back to Christ. I hope he's right. Because I believe we're fixing to see some extremely hard times. Either going towards Jesus and having to humble ourselves, or Him humble us, or going further away from Jesus and Him destroying us and taking His hand off of us. Pay attention, guys. We're seeing some biblical things happen, especially with this program called Genesis. What does Genesis mean? The beginning. You gotta have an end before you have a beginning, huh? Scary stuff. Let me know your thoughts. God bless.
Yeah.